Organization FAO selection committee member for various senior positions of universities, scientists of ICAR institutions. So I request sir to deliver his valuable lectures. So please, sir, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Zakir. I think I am audible to you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for giving a elaborative CV of mine. I think, in fact, I sent only the brief of it, and then thank you very much. And so first, let me thank the Chief Patron, Dr. Vijut Chandan Deka, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Assam Agriculture University, Jorhat, and Patron, my friend B.N. Saikia, the Dean of Khanapara, Guwahati, the Chairman of this webinars, TK Amonge, and co-chairmans, Organizing Secretary, my friend Dr. Zakir Hussain, and the Joint Organizing Secretaries and the members of the Advisory Committee for choosing such a wonderful topic, the livestock, a driving force for food security and self-sufficiency during the current situation of post-COVID phase. In fact, I believe that it's not at post-COVID. Still, we are in the travel of COVID phase only. What is going to happen about the food security and also the self-sufficiency, including the manpower, livelihoods, and all. So those things I am going to present. And always Assam Agriculture University is always with us with the Indian Society of Animal Production and Management. Today, they took initiative to combine with us and organizing such a wonderful webinar. Earlier, the Indian Society of Animal Production also joined with the same team, Ranjit Rai Chaudhary, my senior colleague, and also Jakir, who are really publishing our journal, Indian Journal of Animal Production, thanks to the AAU again, once again. Today, I'm going to present a topic. Where is? On the topic which is given by my friend colleague Dr. Jakir, he asked me to talk on this the livestock, which really helps in the household nutrition and also provides job security during the post-COVID-19. We all believe in this. And let us believe that the livestock undoubtedly supports the household nutrition security and job provider for the people who are really working as a labor force of the country. Solid enough information given about my CV. I'm competing. I'm a competent in this because I'm working with the different groups. And today, when I'm talking about this particular topic, in fact, since we are in the saga of this COVID phase, we don't have any scientific data generated out of what exactly the influential consequential effect of the COVID, how it's going to affect our economy and also some of these nutrition security indices that we cannot really support with the scientific data. We don't have much of scientific studies, but based on the publications and some of the survey activities being carried out, I'm citing all this and give a comprehensive view on this particular topic. So let me start my own presentation with a saying of Hippocrates long back 2500 years ago. Let food be the medicine and medicine be medicine thy food. So that means if you really consume a very good nutritional food, you need not approach a doctor and you always will be healthy. Same is the case with when you're planning and when the food is not taken, then you definitely feel ill. So that's why you need to have always the balanced diet. Today, Jakir has arranged a wonderful meeting, a webinar with the students also. So the students should always, when they're growing phase, you need to have a very nutritional and balanced diet. If you can really eat well with a balanced and nutritional diet, then definitely you're going to have a very good, long, healthy life, and you'll be bigger with a, and you will have a lot of energies to carry out the life ambitions of your plans. So here, both nutrient intake and incidence of the disease always go hand in hand. So when you're perfect in terms of nutritional status, or in the country, the full of citizens having a good nutritional status, then definitely that country is going to be very healthy and prosper. Any inadequate diet that leads to a kind of outbreaks or infectious diseases that end up with because of the malnutrition effects. That's why I always let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Again, I quote late Kofi Annan's, the former UN Secretary General. Nutrition is one of the best drivers of development of any country. It sparks a virtuous cycle of socio-economic improvements, such as increasing access to the education and employment. If you want to really have a good education, one student or maybe the any person who is in employment, you should be good enough in terms of health, and health is only influenced by the nutrition. With these two quotes given by 2,500 years back, the previous Hippocrates and as well as the late Kofi Annan, I start my presentation. If you see this graph, which is given by IFRI, International Food Policy Research Institute, FAO, along with FAO. So all the countries which has got the good consumption of animal source food, that really provides a very good global hunger index. So the malnutrition or nutrition can be the best indices for the nutrition is hunger index. So latest figures of 2017 says, so those countries which consumes the best animal source food, ASFs, they are nutritionally adequate, and so definitely the growth will be very high. So with this fact, the figures as for the WHO and the free, let me see what let me explain about what exactly happened during this the process of the phase of COVID. That's what we are undergoing. So India with this is a status all must be knowing. We have a student pool also here, and it's my responsibility to give some status report of the milk production in India. India at the present 2000 latest 2018-19 publication published figures shows we have more than 187 million tons of milk produced that continues to produce, which leading the country into top position in the globe. We are in the crest top position in terms of milk production. And if you see this, the global annual growth rates of milk production, it could be around 2 to 4%, whereas our country is achieving the annual growth rate of more than around 6%. That was cited in 2014-15 itself. That shows that the milk is one of the animal food source where it provides all the diets, all the nutrients required for us to be nutritional adequate, and we have got enough milk production in our country. Recently, with the incidence of COVID-19, this industry has suffered a lot significantly, and they reduced you just remember demand of reduction of demand in 25 to 30% in the country. Remember the pictures which I am going to show some of the values in subsequent slides. It is not the production has not gone down during COVID-19. The production is in fact constant, or it is slightly marginally enhanced. It's only the demand. The demand has been reduced. That's why the consumption pattern of milk is reduced, resulting in a lot of marketed surplus. The milk which is going as a waste has generated. So that's why in most of the states, like in Orissa and also even Gujarat, the milk pool is there. So the farmers are coming onto the roads and throwing the milk on the roads. That's happening during this COVID phase. So especially during the first month of COVID onset, there was a decline in the milk consumption with all so many misnomers or due to lack of marketing facilities, the milk is going as waste. That's why there is a reduction in the demand of the milk. So again, I was mentioning about that the last 20 years we have got 4.5% in general, but the last before year we have 6% of annual growth we have seen. This is definitely astonishing figure that the world's milk production has grown about only 2%, but India is capturing a very good annual growth rate. As per the latest national account statistics, so in terms of money, we got more than 7 lakh crores of worth of milk produced, which is higher than the value of paddy, is a major staple food of us, and also wheat. It is around 1.73 lakh crore. So this picture shows that clearly, as per the national account statistics, the milk is a wealthy and a nutritional adequate food generated which provides a nutritional security for our country people. This is an established fact. Nothing to worry about the COVID situation. We have nutritional resources as far as the meeting of the food requirement of the Indian citizens are concerned. So some of the studies I was mentioning about the survey studies, the Varghese Korean Center of Excellence present in Irma, they have conducted in a study on the effect of COVID, what is actually happening to the milk production and also the dairy cooperative systems in Gujarat itself, being the place for milk operation flood and all. So the major instant result they have observed is it has witnessed an increase of surplus milk. That's what I was mentioning. So nothing to worry about. Due to COVID, we are not deprived of any kind of nutritional diet. We have enough food diet. We have a nutritional security in our country. Only thing is we have surplus milk that is called as a marketable surplus is available apart from consumption of milk for the households and also marketing. That means the milk pulling grow as unorganized players. This is the biggest problem. So if you see the milk production in our country, and if you see this, how much is really going to the organized and unorganized market. So you can find these cooperative societies are supporting at about marketable surplus. You can see this marketable surplus of milk is about that means after consumption of milk by us as per our own convenience and economy, and it's around 52%. The remaining 48%, I say 48% we are consuming, remaining 52% where it is going. So this is the problem in the COVID situation. This marketable surplus, excess of milk produced, they are in the hands of the some of the unorganized sector of the purchasing people. And these unorganized sector, apart from the cooperative societies, mostly the private sector people, they are unable to operate during this COVID situation. During the COVID situation, due to the marketing and also due to the sickness of the industry, due to manpower non-availability and various factors that and also social distance we are following, that has led to these disturbance in the unorganized sector of the milk procurement that resulted in milk surplus in our country. So this is the picture. So that is really the milk processing capacity that has led to the wastage of milk. So definitely it is the call from the nation what to do with regards to the surplus milk, how to do that. So for that, let me see also. Let me tell you about the economy of the dairy farmers. The COVID-19 lockdown has a massive impact on the dairy producers. So earlier I was showing the milk price, sale price, the sale price from the producer level has gone down, which leads to the loss of livelihoods to the milk farmers. This is another biggest impact of the COVID-19 situation. The milk and milk products cost, the procurement price has gone. I mean, the production cost has gone, but the sale price has come down, and also there are no takers from the unorganized sector that has led to the milk farmers are putting into loss, and their economy is drastically affected during the COVID situation. So this is the thing which I was mentioning about uh, how this unorganized sector really hampering the uh, the dairy industry, because this unorganized sector, they take away the milk from the milk producers, and they in turn sell the milk into the hotels, restaurants, and the catering sector. There's a Horeca, there's a hotel, restaurant, and caves. So the catering sections. So this milk goes to mostly them, and mainly the sweet markets. And when there are no takers of the sweets, or there are no takers of the milk byproducts, when there are no visitors for the hotels, restaurants, and catering sectors, then this has really hampered the milk sale value. And also because of this, the farmers are put into a lot of the economic deficits during this. So that's why the country has formulated what to do under this crisis situation. We have enough nutrition security through milk, but how to say capture the marketable surplus, make it into value-added product. So for this, say the only option is make the milk into a powder. Skim milk powder is the promising one. The industries they started coping up with this situation, and they have produced now a lot of skim milk powder. Again, you will see what exactly happening to the skim milk powder. If you want to really export the skim milk powder, the global price of the skim milk powder has drastically crashed out. So you can see these values, US dollars of 3,000 per metric ton in January 2020 has gone down to 2,500 US dollars. So this is that shows we don't have even good market in US and other places. Of course, quality is another concern there. So, so understanding the situation, the US government for their US farmers, they have announced 3 billion package for the dairy industry to save this situation under this COVID. And also, the US government also announced more than 100 millions per month to purchase the dairy products. It means government themselves, they purchasing the dairy products. So these kind of decisions need to be taken at our own union governments to save our own the farmers livelihood securities in terms of providing a good price and the ways to capture and preserve the milk for the future uses, and processing further to give a reasonable price for the dairy farmers. So this is the major problem, how the farmers, especially the dairy farmers, are getting affected this in terms of security, in terms of economy, and also the livelihoods. So we were talking about my topic is concerned mainly on the nutrition security, the consumption pattern. If you consume more milk, you are nutritionally secured. If you see the throughout country lockdown situation, it has impacted a lot. The milk consumption has gone down by 30 to 30%. There are various, say, misnomers initially. Basically, the glucose inherent intolerance level, and also the apprehensions that consumption of animal produce may also aggravate the situation of COVID, and the people have started rejecting the milk. So, understanding this problem, and we have started this lockdown in the March 14th of 2019. Now we are almost reaching the almost more than 1.5 year period of time. The people have calculated how much time we need to reach to normalcy, at least from the point of the economy and also nutrition security. It has been estimated that still we need 6 to 9 months time to bounce back to the normal condition. As far I'm talking about only the animal products demand, consumption, and the economy point of view only. So that's why I always say still we are in the transit phase of COVID. We are not yet crossed the COVID phase. Still we need another 9 months to 1 year period of time to cross over that. And today, newspaper, if you see this business today, on today, particular to November 7th, the 15% of the dairy industry revenue comes from the out of home sales. Because that's why the unorganized sector selling the milk to the households, and that is now diminishing. So that is has become down now. This is another problem to the economy and also nutrition security. So there will be a dip reduction in the procurement prices. Then SKM is the already I have mentioned that skim milk powder is going to be the future food for next post COVID situation. If you are looking to the post COVID situation, what is that we are going to eat? What is that we are going to drink? Again, there will be surplus fat in the milk or an excess milk production. But in addition to that, we will also have enough sources of skimmed milk powder sources, which comes at a lower, cheaper cost. If you can maintain the quality control, then definitely that's going to be a good food for our nutritional security. So these are the some of the challenges because we are managing the dairy farms, the livestock farms in our is working in our farms in all the universities. We are maintaining farms, and also the farmers are putting these questions. These are the commonest questions we have faced and we are going to face for next 1 year. The COVID-19 presents these challenges in the livestock sector and mainly the working group. When you are maintaining a social distance, how to milk cows while in maintaining the social distance? What is the ideal practices? Then how to manage staff coming on and off the farm? Because in the commercial dairies in Andhra and Hyderabad and many places in India, we are normally engage the skilled milkers from the state of Bihar. Morning, Saike was mentioning about the migrated labor. When we engage them and give them shelter and allow them to the milk practices, then when they want to go back to their home due to the COVID situation to take care of their families, then who is going to milk the animals? Because the animal is so accustomed and they are accustomed to only one milker and the same kind of mechanism of letdown mechanism. If the milker is changed, there is going to be a drastic influence on the milk production. So how to manage these kind of situations in order to avoid the reduction in the milk production? Then how to address the supply issues in concern the feed and fodder, and that's going to influence our farm conditions. So are there any protocols or scientific data any of the professional bodies or government gives for managing the production as well as the collection? And some of the questions the consumers may have regarding the safety of dairy farms. Suppose I am a consumer, I am doubtful that whether this milker has really done well and he is carrying the COVID and the milk is a carrier for the COVID. So these are all the lot number of questions, challenges we have faced, we are facing during the situation. And definitely it is the scientist role. I think this is the webinar. When we are starting with the webinar, the organizing secretaries under the able guidance of deans and directors and researchers here, please formulate a advisory system to the farmers of livestock in your own states and give answers to these kind of questions. And this is known as a localized, the scientifically approved advisory system needed at this hour. I think the after this particular webinar, if you can come up with a solution that you provide a advisory to the livestock farmer in terms of the managing a farm, answering most of these this kind of questions, this webinar is going to be very successful. Of course, we have our own advisory system, ICR Farm Advisory. They have given us some farm advisory, and FICCI has done its own advisory. NDDB people have also mentioned some advisory systems for the corporate systems for answering these questions. I think this kind of advisory system needed in order to maintain the forms at organized level at the universities and also at the commercial level or even at the smallholder farmers levels. So this is all about the milk sector alone. But we need to talk about the meat sector about the country because we are basically a good consumers of meat. And meat is a definitely animal, very good animal source protein, which are with a high biological value, which can really provide a nutrition security to the poorer sections as well as the any kind of social sectors. So if you see this COVID, how is it really impacted on the meat sector? I have experienced here. I'm also non-vegetarian. When you want to purchase mutton, we get a mutton. We got a mutton in the market, but with the price of 4 times the normal. So that means the skyrocketing of the market is happening because of the low production of the meat, mainly the mutton consumers. This has happened. So this is going to continue as far as the uh, mutton of the sheep and goat mutton, especially the mutton as such. But it varied with the chicken, the meat from chicken. Initially, there was a problem. I am going to present that also. So it's going to be the post-COVID situation is also you need to pay more price to purchase mutton in future course of time. And buffalo meat has got red meat or buffalo meat has got enough market, especially the external when you are sending to the African countries and export value. But the local consumers, that there are certain classes of the people and marginal groups, they are eating the buffalo meat as such in our country, and they have stopped eating buffalo meat because of various reasons. This is scientifically proved, and we have a data also. So the consumption pattern of meat, see, the mutton consumption is not reduced. Only thing the price has gone up. The buffalo meat has gone down in terms of consumption. Let us see the poultry sector in India. This the status I need not mention. We are very good in 3.8 million tons of poultry meat was consumed the 2019 before the post-COVID, the COVID situation onset, which is almost valued about 85,000 crores in terms of retail prices. That means we are the very good consumers of both commercial poultry as well as the backyard poultry. It's worth of more than 85,000 crores. This figure also shows that nutrition security in our country is mainly met from chicken meat. Then, because it's worth of more than 3.8 million tons of poultry meat consumed. Same is the case with egg production. It's more than 109 billions of eggs being consumed by our own people. And the growth phase also 10 to 12% growth for the last 3 years. But after this incidence of COVID-19, these are the three important components: eggs, meat, and the poultry meat that has gone down mainly because of the rumors widely spread in the chicken meat. So this the poultry is a species which is always getting some disease from internally or externally. Whenever there is some disease onset or we acquire a disease, immediately the poultry is going to be a big crisis. Apart from the normal crisis of the feed resources and the cost of the feed ingredients. So the poultry birds mainly due to the virus. So the rumor spreaded like this. The poultry also contaminates the COVID virus due to consumption of chicken meat. Handling of chicken meat leads to COVID. This has happened initial 3 months. Then the neck, the concerned agencies, and also people have started experiencing that the chicken is not chicken or poultry meat is not going to say spread the disease. Only it's quite safe. And only things while handling, we need to be very cautious by maintaining all the hygienic measures. Then the poultry meat has again picking up in its price. And this is a classic example of there are some people have experienced that regarding the pig industry. I know this is The pig is considered to be like a cow in every household in Assam, and it provides a good livelihood and as well as nutrition security. So before onset of the COVID situation itself, the northeastern part of India has observed the African swine fever. It was reported and confirmed by the Indian ICAR, National Institute of High Security Disease of Bhopal also. So this has substantially reduced the best meat available with all high biological index and protein say amino acid composition. The pork that's being substantially reduced during the COVID and previous pre-COVID situation. And now I hope that my friends can tell me that how this situation in Assam, as far as the pig industry is concerned. So these are all the problems lead to. We have seen very sorrowful and pathetic situations on the roads. The dairy farmers are coming onto the roads, throwing away the milk on the roads because of the surplus milk. And we have seen the killing and burning of the poultry birds in masses. We have seen in AP, and because AP and Hyderabad and Telangana are the spots for the poultry, and we have many of the poultry farmers gave free of the birds to the for the consumption of the human being. So this has happened. Now the situation is changing, and the present COVID situation and the future post-COVID situation, definitely the poultry is going to provide a very good nutrition security for all of us, and it's more than say more than 10 to 15 lakh birds will have broiler poultry farmers, so they're going to be uh, benefited out of that, and it's going to be a good bright future for the poultry sector in coming months also. Of course, we are not ignored the state national government regulations, like the US government has given the a lot of support for the dairy farmers, as they have started purchasing the value added products from their national policy. Likewise, we have also two policies. Like recently, they have given the 15,000 crores project of say Animal Husband Infrastructure Development Fund, wherein they are establishing various dairy farms, and they are the promising one. And also animal disease control programs, eradication programs are there, so they really support us, our farmers, and our economy of the farmers as well as the farming community in future coming years. This is one part as far as the how the COVID has influenced or is going to influence our nutrition security, mainly the dairy, meat, poultry sector in the present condition, even pig sector. And the topic which Zakir Hussain has made me really work hard to identify other areas. What exactly the job security, employment security. So what is the fate of employment security of our own people after COVID or the present COVID? I need to define all must be having in the youngsters, young jobs like the students here. Normally, we use the term employment security, job security. You get more job security when you join in a government sector. When you join in a private sector, you don't have job security. This all says the vibrations or the probability of your continuance continuance in the existing job, and how much you pay, how much will be the future pay. Those are the security you must have in your mind. But the exact definition says this job security means a kind of a sense of attachment to a current enterprise or establishment of a range of tasks. Suppose if you are engaged in a dairy farm, you have a sense of attachment to the dairy farm activities. If you are attached to a pig farm, you will have an attachment with the pig activities, daily husbandry activities. But that is the kind of definition source that in any country or even country, our own country, the COVID or post-COVID will never deteriorate or it's going to affect our job security at all. We always have the Indian farmer always will have a continuance of attachment to the regular activities with the livestock. The livestock owner or the farming activity, the person will never lose a job security in any place. That's what I wanted to emphasize. But how this really this COVID has really influenced job security. Morning, Dr. Saika was mentioning about we need to identify some modalities to save our migration of labor. So the emergence has seen we have reverse migration of labor. We have seen the people are when they are not able to catch up the trains or when they are not able to catch up the vehicles conveyance, they have started walking, say thousands of miles, hundreds of miles. We have seen that the pregnant women are walking for more than 100 miles to reach their places, their native places. So this is happening from urban areas to rural areas. They're going back mainly to have a very safe journey for them. So this there are two sectors. One is the small and marginal farmers we have attached to the farming systems. Other one is a commercial one. So the commercial systems are mostly affected because of this migration of labor. That's what earlier I mentioned that we are missing a skilled milker from Bihar. Then our commercial dairy farms are really getting affected. Whereas the small farmer holders, the family members are acting themselves as a labor, so there we never find any difficulty at all. This is International Labor Organization a graph that shows the red figure shows so the employments in all the countries, the global countries are really it's almost closed down. So this is the global picture. It's not really encouraging one. This is going to continue for the post-COVID situation. Fortunately, this is mostly happening in the industrial sector. It's not exactly in the commercial sector, not in the smallholder sector. So this is the example. Again, presently, the own account workers, that means self-sufficient, that means smallholders are also happening this. In future, that's going to, again, change the situation. So these are the pictures. ILO says, the International Livestock, International Labor Organization says more than 81% of the employers are losing on their own account, but it's not going to affect. So definitely the picture is going to be rosy in post-COVID situation. So these are two things about the job security and also the nutrition security. But my point of advice to conclude or to give a final home taking message for the young students as well as some of the scientists here. What exactly WHO, World Health Organization, recommends for the food kind of foods for the COVID-19 situation? This is needed for our regular life situations. Always you are advised to eat fresh and also unprocessed foods. Don't take the junk foods from the any kind of company still they are marketing it all. And as a campaigner for the animal source food like meat, fish, and egg and all milk, and along with the fresh the foods, vegetables, legumes, the WHO also recommends the consumption of meat, fish, eggs, and milk. Nothing to worry about that. These animal source foods, you have to consume them because they are the good source of nutrients. Then you also, along with the vegetables, you start eating the meat, at least 160 grams, 150 grams of meat every day, but avoid red meat, but you try to take white meat. This is WHO recommendations. If you want to be nutritionally adequate, please eat this. And the other thing is regarding fat. You just because you are in the place of where the pork and other fat available, you always try to eat unsaturated fats for this COVID situation. Never go for the saturated fats like fatty meat and some other dairy products which are very rich in the unsaturated fatty acids like oil, cream, cheese, ghee, and lard. You try to avoid, at least for the food COVID situations. Try to eat more of poultry meat and fish rather than going for the red meat. And please don't eat the processed meats unless it is processed really well. I request you, all of you, drink water every day, enough water, sufficient water. That means drink at least 8 to 10 cups of water every day. This is WHO recommendations. Please have it. Those are the coffee lovers, not to consume too much of coffee. Please avoid caffeine during this post-COVID situation. But my message is eat well the animal source food that keeps you nutritionally secure. So this is one another important point I'd like to again emphasize here. Please eat less of salt and sugar. This is not advice for the diabetics, for the those who are carrying high blood pressure. This is for everybody. You use only little salt, 5 grams, less than 5 grams of salt, and use iodized salt. Don't eat so much of salt during this COVID situation. These are the recommendations of WHO. This is a very trickish thing, which because we are really deprived of very good food, which enhances our appetite. So please drink chicken soup, which has got a tremendous improvement in the immune system. If you really drink more of chicken soup, which is light and easy, which improves the say it prevents the dehydration, it enhances the rehydration, and mainly it enhances your immune system, which is required for the COVID situation, and mainly the protein and zinc from chicken, and also the vitamins also are very much available. Please have a cup of chicken soup daily. That's good advice I can give you. So when you approach any COVID center or a nutritionist dietetics, he will give an advice or a medicines. It has a pack of ginkgowit, vitamin C, vitamin D, and also some other medicines which as per the situation warrants. So all the really we need of these medicine, these form of food supplements from medicines, or can't you get it in the foods at all? Yes, we have enough food resources like even milk, yogurt, curd. We can call it a yogurt is a combination of it's a kind of this how yogurt can be made. It's a live cultures which has got more of probiotics that really enhances your immune system. Please have yogurt during this COVID situation. Then vitamin B6 is another one which never the doctors will never provide for this COVID situation. But WHO proved that vitamin B6 is very important, which is only available in chicken and turkey. Please have chicken and turkey or any meat you have. Then definitely it provides vitamin B6, which provides blood cells RBC, which also helps the more of immunity power for ourselves and young children. Another feature, like I was mentioning, that Ginkgo is the drug normally the doctors will give during the COVID situation. So zinc is a very essential element, which is very much available in poultry, red meat, and beans. So this is really required for the immunity power, and some of the breads and cereals also will have. But if you talk about the more absorption ability, the zinc from animal source of food will have more absorbability than from the cereals and other breads. So that's why you always recommend animal source foods, which really provides a source of nutrition. So I needed again emphasis about the backyard poultry, which really provides very good nutrients, and also this is of the meat, how they produce various micro and macro elements for the present situation. So again, I need to mention that if you eat 100 grams of mutton, it will provide 4.8 milligrams of zinc. If you eat 85 grams of chicken, 2.5 milligrams of zinc it comes. If you drink 1/4 liter of milk, it provides a very good zinc. Likewise, if you eat yogurt, it also provides zinc. You need not approach doc for the zinc of it. Zinc is a very essential element during this COVID scenario. I request all the administrators of the hostels, please provide good enough animal source food and milk to the young students working, studying in the hostels. Vitamin C is another important element required for the COVID situation. Of course, the vitamin, when you talk about the milk and the vitamin C, you always put question that milk is lacking in vitamin C, but vitamin C can be fortified in milk or along with milk, which can really helps in they act as a preservative, or also they act as a the oxidative, non-oxidative or oxidative effect, which really helps for keep our tissues healthy. So the prebiotics and probiotics, which are very much available in milk and milk products, they really help. This is the literature shows the immune boosting effects of the milk and milk products, mainly the lactobacillus based the culture, in the form of prebiotics or probiotics, very much available in milk. That's why please encourage consumption of the milk. That really helps in the nutritional security. So I'd like to almost conclude my talk. If I'm taking more time, kindly excuse me, because I need to give him this message. Tammy Ward, the is a R&D RD, is a specialist in oncology nutrition. Worked in University of Cincinnati Cancer Center. It is not the how much you are eating food. What is the kind of your eating food? From where the food source comes, how cleanly it comes, how hygienically it comes, how hygienically it is processed, how it comes to table, and what kind of taste, texture, and it's not the how you are going to take it. In addition to that, please remember when you are dining with your family or your friend on the dining table, you try to enjoy the food and by having a good conversation with your friends. So that's why while dining, you must always be happy to reconnect itself to your friends, so that you can really connect to the food that fuels your body. So most of the cases which are mostly, if you see the habits of the people affected with the carcinoma, they are not having these features. Those people are devoid, never had cancer in life. They must be enjoying their lunch, dinner in a very nice way of sharing with family members and friends. So I request you, don't be panic about this situation. Stay safe. And recently, UGC has given guidelines. Please follow the standard operative practices for protecting ourselves and our students. Please follow the unlock 5 guidelines. Eat well, mainly the animal source foods. If you are finding any kind of illness, don't hesitate to be tested. Please go to the testing centers. Nowadays, the everything almost the recovery rate is more than 90% in our country. In many places, you can be easily recovered. Please follow the quarantine from your family members under your community. If you found positive, don't hide yourself, and please no never ill treat the patients, but keep quarantine from yourself. Mainly, please respect the frontline workers, scavengers, doctors, nurses. They are really sacrificing lives, helping the people. And my final message is consume animal source foods and also provide livelihoods to the farming community. So this is the message. And thank you once again, the Assam Agriculture University, my friend Dr. Jakir, who is giving me opportunity to give this message to all my friends and scientists and student friends here. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable speech. There is one question, sir, just only one question from Isquast, Kashmir. India may be sufficient for food, but not food and nutritionally secure, because food being available does not reach to the needy. You mentioned that milk producers wasted the milk during lockdown. Probably it is not surplus, rather it does not reach to the mouth of the hungry. Sir, your comment, actually it is not a question, but just a discussion. India is food sufficient, but not secure. So what should be your comment, sir?
Yeah, when we calculate the per capita availability of milk, and the recent statistics and the availability of milk here, the surplus milk is available. Earlier, pre-COVID situation, the milk procurement and selling of milk and reaching to the milk to the poorer sections, it was not happening because it was in the unorganized sector. As I was mentioning, more than 52% of the milk is procured from the private industry. But during this COVID situation, they were unable to process it, procure it, and uh, distribute it. That was happened. But if you see this, the production figures, we have enough food secures. Only thing is, it's not reachable to the poorer people. That's why many of these present government schemes, NGOs, they are working out very well to provide milk, such a nutritionally secured food like milk, a balanced diet to the poorer sections during the, especially for children, midday meals. They are providing the milk and eggs, and also everywhere they try to give the sachets of milk to the poorer section. That is happening. That should happen, and it's a national milk policy. I think they are looking for that kind of situation.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more, I want to ask one question actually. Not question, but discussion. Actually, we are sufficient in milk production in India. We are more than that of ICM recommendation. But there is a disparity. In some area, it is very less. Like in Assam, it is only not even 80 gram per day. But in Punjab, in other Haryana, like western states, it is like 1 liter per day. The availability, per capita availability. Sir, how can we breeze? What may be the policy for that? Why it is less in some area and it is more than enough in other area? Sir, can you give your comment, sir?
Yeah, always the consumption pattern say relates to the production capacities. So those states which are got very good breeding tracks for the dairy cattle buffaloes, they got enough productions. The farmers are more relying on the dairy. The production capacities are also high. Since the productions are also there, naturally it relates to the consumption pattern also. Of course, marketable surplus also. So some of the states where the dairy components are minimal, the production capacities are also low. So that's why the differences in the consumption pattern also. But definitely there is a need to redistribute. At least now the concerned state governments are regional. They should think of avoiding these disparities by encouraging the resources for the feeding of the dairy cattle or buffaloes, and also induction of the animals should happen. Induction of the greater in native and as well as the crossbred animals is happening to produce in order to produce they enhance the milk production. When there is a production, when the product is available locally, then definitely there will not be any problem for the consumption also. So this kind of the redistribution should happen with the involvement of more from the concerned state and regional governments. But this I think this is the foresee or the focus of the national local missions and also some of these. Recently, I mentioned about the 1,500 crores project of the central government. They're looking and they're encouraging for the establishment of the commercial dairies all over the country, and they are encouraging any kind of establishment of commercial dairy units with 10 animal capacity. They encourage, and of course, NABARD and other banks are supporting. If that comes, then definitely that is possible to achieve to avoid the regional disparities and also the state disparities, and every state will have a good milk production. I think it is not an impossible thing because I tell you an example. Almost of 10 years back, we have targeted one district by name Kadapa here. We have targeted with a vision of enhancing the dairy animals by induction of new animals here. And then we have also targeted certain level of milk production. Then we have achieved it. Almost we have achieved a double of the milk production. That's what we have foresee, what we have thought of. So that is possible. If that is done, I think the national policies and also the support of the state governments that really avoid these regional disparities. I think you're happy with my answer. And also senior Dians are here, Dr. Sasir sir, and also many other can also share their views. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your answer and discussions, valuable